All right.
Page 97, Parshat Bo. Oh, you came on time.
You didn't start yet.
Oops. Nope, that's the wrong one.
Thank you.
We start with Bo.
Thank you.
We start with a numerical value. Bo is bet Aleph. How much is bet?
2.
Aleph is 1.
One.
3. The last 3 plagues of the 10 plagues are in this parsha. Now what means Bo?
Come.
Bo means come. Look how it's translated. Go. Right? Hashem says to Moshe, go. Literally it means go. Go to Pharaoh. Really it means come. Normally in Hebrew is come. God told Moses, come to Pharaoh, not go to Pharaoh. Come with me to Pharaoh. I'm going with you. And the lesson is that for every Jew, God doesn't send you somewhere by yourself. He comes with you. He goes with you. You are never alone. That's the message. That's right from the beginning, from the name of the parsha. Whenever time it's Boel Paro, it means God says he comes with you. I heard it from the Rebbe. Then let's start a little bit from inside. You have a question?
Not yet.
Not really.
Not yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Adonai said to Moshe, "Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, and also the hearts of his servants, so that I will be able to perform these miraculous signs in their midst, and so that you may relate in the ears of your son and grandson how I made a mockery of the Egyptians and the miraculous signs I performed among them." You will.
Okay, here we have 2 reasons for the miracles. The first time, usually the miracles are to teach the Egyptian, to tell them they should know God. Many times during this story, it's written, then Pharaoh will know God, the Egypt will know God. Here, I think it's the first time that he speaks about that the Jewish people should know, V'yidatem, you will then know that I am Hashem. Not just for the Egyptian. God made the 10 plagues for 2 reasons. Really, God could take the Jews out of Egypt in a split of a moment. Pharaoh can die, and done. Everybody lives. Even more, Pharaoh doesn't have to die. God can make a change of his heart. He can wake up one morning with a craziness. I'm a guys. Let's go. I don't need you. Who needed the 10 plagues? The 10 plagues, throughout the story you see, it's about 2 things. Number 1, to teach the Egyptian that there is a God. That was a culture, a society of idol worshippers. Everyone had his own God. You needed that nobody. When Moses came the first time, when Moses came the first time to Pharaoh, what was Pharaoh's reaction? When Moses came to Pharaoh the first time, and he told them, God of the Hebrews sent me.
Well, who is the Lord?
He told them, you know what he told them? On page 45,
What's he done?
he tells them in the bottom of page 45, number 2, Pharaoh said, who is Hashem that I should obey his voice? See it? The last line on page 45 in the text. Who is Hashem that I should obey his voice? And in the next page, 46, in top, I do not know Hashem. He says, in my book, it doesn't exist. That was Pharaoh's first reaction. Every plague, he gets a little more comfortable with the concept of God. But after the plague of frogs, he calls Moses and he tells Moses, tell God, pray to God he should stop it. Oh, tell God, that's nice. After the 5th plague, I think, after the 5th plague, it tells them, God is the righteous one, and I am the wicked one. Whereas this is saying,
One of them says before me, and pray for me.
that's later, you're right.
Oh, later?
I think so. Or by the 3rd plague, after lice, the Egyptian magicians started to say, it's the finger of God, it's the hand of God. That was another step. Then Pharaoh himself said, God is the righteous one. And it goes on and on. That the first reason for the 10th plague was to teach the Egyptian that there is a God. they should start to believe in God. Little by, it took 6 months to bring them to the realization that there is a God. It wasn't just about taking the Jews out of Egypt. Meanwhile, it was an educational purpose. But it was not only a problem with the Egyptian. It was a problem with the Jews. The Jews were a part of society. As he mentioned before, God tells the Jews they should borrow from the Egyptian gold and silver, as we're going to learn further. The language that the Torah is using, V'yishalu ish me'et re'ehu. A man should ask from his friend, and a woman from her friend. Obviously, it's considered friend. That means that the Jewish people, as much as they were suffering in Egypt, and as much as they were they were still a part of society. Most of the Jews were assimilated. Then you needed to teach about God, not only for the Egyptian. You needed to convince the Jews that there is a God. That maybe they believed in God. It's written when Moses came, they believed him. Fine. But believing is a general concept. As people say, there is a God. But here he says to know that there is a God. As he spoke many times, there is a big difference between believing and knowing. When Moses came the first time to the Jewish people, in the Parshah, the first Parshah of Shmot, they gathered the Jews and they told them that he's coming speaking in the name of God. It's on page 45. I'm sorry that I make you turn pages back and forth, but it's making sure that nobody falls asleep, It's written on page 45, number 31. Number 30, you want to read? Page 45, number 30. It's important to realize that.
Aharon spoke all the words that Adonai had spoken to Moshe, and he demonstrated the miraculous signs in the eyes or sight of the people. The people believed.
The people believed. Go ahead.
When they heard that Adonai was mindful of Bnei Yisrael, and that he had seen their suffering, they bowed their heads and prostrated themselves.
They were all excited. They believed. When things got worse, they stopped. They didn't want to listen to Moses for one word. Here, in our Parsha, Hashem tells them, I'll make the miracles. In page 97, the end of number 2, he says, you will then know that then I am Hashem. Believing and knowing is two separate things. It's a complete different world between believing in God and knowing God. What needs to know a person? Was once a Chassid, a Jew stood by the previous Rebbe came out from his office to go to the Farbringen. Somebody stood by the door. He told him, Rebbe, I knew your father. He stopped. He told him, you know my father. You saw my father. You knew him. Knowing a person is how many people we know. We met many people. We saw many people. How many people we know? There is a story about the Maggid of Mezrich. I think it was Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev was one of the famous Hasidic masters. He was called later the defender of Israel. Always used to find good things about the Jewish people. There's a famous story when you used to see once a Jew, while he was with the tefillin, he was preparing his wagon to the right. Everybody gets upset with the tefillin. You do such thing. He said, look how the Jews are amazing they are. Even when they prepare the wagons, they still daven. He always found the good side about the Jewish people. There is plenty of stories about it. When he was a young man, he was living by his father-in-law. He got married, maybe he was 16, 18, I don't know. Living by his father-in-law. That was the normal thing. You get married, you go to live by your father-in-law for a few years until you grow up, basically. And your father-in-law supports you and you learn Torah, and then you go out for life. He tells his father-in-law he wants to go to learn Torah by the Maggid of Mezrich. He was then the Hasidic master. His father-in-law told him, well, there's not enough rabbis in town, why do you need to go there? Traveling for weeks, and he begged them and he nudged them. Finally, he allowed them to go. He said to them, but you're coming back in 3 months. Fine. 3 months passes, Levi Yitzchak is back home. He looks at him and says, no, Levi Yitzchak, what you learned in Mezrich? He told him, I learned that there is a God. His father-in-law got so upset. He said, what, I was holding an atheist in my house? I was supporting an heretic? What's going on here? He calls the cleaning lady, who was Jewish. He says, look in the window, what's there? Grass. He said, yeah. You see what? Trees. Who created all of this? She looks at him, what do you mean we created? God. He looks on Levi Yitzchak, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, and tells him, no. She also knows it. She also says that he tells him. He tells him, she says, I know. That's the difference. There is a big difference to say everybody is born a believer. You want, during lifetime, to get to know God. Like you get to know a person, you met him. Or every wife says on your husband, after 10 years, now I really know who you are. It's usually not in the best sense of the word. 10 years later, now I really know how bad you are. And it's not a lie. Every time you get to know the other person a little better, you get to really know him. As you're getting older, we realize that we really know very few people, and we actually don't want to know too many. You don't have place in your life for too many people to get to know. That's what Hashem wanted. They believed in Parshat Shmot right in the beginning. Moses, the whole conversation between Moses and God, why Moses didn't want to go, was not because Pharaoh will not listen. That was a minor thing. One time Moses said, who am I that Pharaoh should listen to me? The whole conversation is that the Jews will not believe. All the miracles that God gave him, to turn the staff into a snake and to turn his head into leprosy, all of this was, so to speak, because Moses complained that the Jews will not believe him. What ended up to be? The Jews believed him right away. He didn't have to make any proofs. It's written that they made the proofs, but it's not written anywhere that the Jews had a problem with it. We end up to have a problem with Pharaoh. But that's believing in God. And right away, when things got worse, in the end of Parshat Shemot, when Moses went the first time to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said, not only I will not allow you to leave, I will make it worse on you. If until now we provided you with the straw to make the bricks, from now on you will not even have straw. You'll have to provide your own straw. When Moses came to the Jews and told them again, God says he's going to save you, it's written they didn't listen to him. Lo Shamu and Moshe didn't listen to Moses. From short of breadness, they were, and from hard work, they what are you talking about, redemption? What are you talking about? Things are getting worse. What are you telling me? What are you telling us stories? Here, God tells Moses, I will make the 10 plagues. You should know that there is a God, not only for the Egyptian. You, the Jewish people. And it was a long journey. From beginning, you see, and even knowing because of miracles is still not the ultimate knowing. When you believe in God because of miracles, Maimonides says, anybody who believes in God because of miracles, yesh bo dofi. His faith is not complete. It's questionable. What does this mean? It's weak. It could be turned around. Somebody else should come and shop and make miracles, then what? If I believe in Moses because he turned water into blood, the first magician who shows up from Egypt and turns water into blood, I believe him. Now he speaks in the name of God. Moses had a problem with it. How are they going to believe Moses? If it's because of the 10 plague, every religion claims that they made miracles. How I know that this is better than this? How I know that Moses is right? Right in the beginning, there is something very interesting. Right in the first conversation that God had with Moses, I'll have to make you, I'm sorry, to turn the pages back again. But before you turn, I'll tell you... page 26. We can start on page 24 just to get the context of the issue, of the conversation. In page 24, number 10, Mark, you want to read?
Sure. Now go. I am sending to Pharaoh, and you will bring my people, the Bnei Yisrael, out of Egypt. Moshe said to Elohim, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Am I able to bring the Bnei Yisrael out of Egypt? He, Hashem, said, because I will be with you.
Yeah.
This will be the proof that I've sent you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will serve Elohim on this mountain.
Let's stop right here. What will be the proof when I will take you out of Egypt? You will serve God on this mountain. What does this mean? Which mountain are you talking about? Mount Sinai. It will be that Mount Sinai revelation will be the proof that you speak in my name. Why? Because as long as as long as there is no Mount Sinai, it's still the proof is not a real proof. And in Hebrew, there is an interesting thing. The third line from the top, the first word is ta'avdun. Ta'avdun means to serve. It should be written ta'avdu. The extra letter nun, the extra nun, is extra. You don't need it really. It could be ta'avdu et Elokim al har hazeh. What's the nun? How much is nun in numerical value?
50.
50. In 50 days after they take them out from Egypt, they will serve God at this mountain. It's 50 days after Pesach, they count the Omer, right? 50 days Shavuos, it's 50 days after Pesach. That the whole proof for the Jewish, the ultimate proof for Moses that he speaks in the name of God was Mount Sinai. That everybody heard how God speaks to Moses. Everybody overheard the conversation, so to speak, between God and Moses. Until then, it was only miracles. Miracles, yeah, maybe you speak in the name of God. As long as I need you, I'll go with your miracles. The moment I don't need you, I will say, oh, everybody makes miracles. Other people can also make miracles. Look, when he came to Egypt, the first 2 or 3 miracles, the Egyptian magicians did it too. So, the problem with this was, the magicians came, and Moses came, took the staff, turned it into a snake, right? They did it. He turned water into blood, they did it. Got frogs, they did it. Came to lice, they couldn't. So who says that now he speaks in the name of God? Maybe he went to a better school. Maybe Moses is a better magician. Big deal. He's a bigger Hefferman. If I would be Pharaoh, I would look at my guys and say, shame on you, look at what he's doing. Why you cannot do something like this? It still doesn't make it that he speaks in the name of God. The moment they established that they can do things too, it became a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's maybe. Hey, it looks good. Good miracles, good. Moses is not bad, he's making good things. But they also did. So they are not so good. It doesn't mean you speak in the name of God. When was the ultimate proof? The proof that the Torah says that Moses speaks in the name of God, when everybody was able to see God, to hear God at Mount Sinai, to experience God. But the old 10 plagues was to bring it, to bring people to Mount Sinai, they also have to be ready. And that's what he says, to know that there is a God.
So how do we understand this? I mean, we've really got 2 conflicting lines of thought. We've got the whole set of miracles that are designed to prove to the Jewish people that God is delivering them.
Because they wouldn't leave Egypt. You need to convince the Jews to leave Egypt. That God is doing it. Took 6 months to convince the Jews to leave Egypt. And even by the end, the Egyptian, in our Parshah, we read how the Egyptian chased them out of Egypt. If not, the Jews would still be there until now.
So it's really limited in that sense, that the miracles are designed to get the Jewish people to move as opposed to...
Also,
Okay.
It's not a contradiction.
Okay.
I mean, you can do one thing for 10 reasons. I mean, that's what he says. Right here he says the 2 reasons. That the Egyptians should know that there is a God, and the Jews should know that there is a God.
But
It's really one reason. It's the same purpose.
But there are opposite sides. I mean,
Why?
up till after the first 3 plagues, everything else benefits the Jews in some way for the most part.
The first plagues also benefit the Jews.
Well,
All the miracles that Moses said were to prove that he speaks in the name of God.
no, I understand that, but I mean, there's always benefit when the water is blood. The Jews are able to get water and they can sell it and whatever.
Okay, so-
and when the darkness comes, they can see in
You're
the
right.
darkness. They have a.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
there is a
little-
bigger benefit than that. They should know that there is God. You're talking about, here is a good example. One benefit, people say, that's written in the Torah, honor your father and mother, you live long. That's one level of benefiting from a mitzvah. Or there is a higher level of benefiting from a mitzvah. Honor your father and mother, you connect to God. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Here is the perfect example. There is darkness, meanwhile the Jews can go and see what is in the Egyptians' homes. Or there is darkness and there is light by the Jews, and the Jews know that there is a God. Tell me, what's the bigger benefit? And that's always, we should never forget. People say, what's the reward? What I'm getting from God for the mitzvah? The opportunity to do a mitzvah, to connect with God. An appointment with God. The president comes here and gives you an appointment. He tells you, I need somebody to drive me. You drive around the president. By the end of the day, he gives you $100. You're ready to give him $1 million. I'll give you $100. He has to pay. The biggest honor was to be his driver. God tells you, here you have an opportunity to do my will, to connect with me, to be a part of my agenda. Then that was the bigger picture. Absolutely, they benefit from every little thing. And again, it's not a contradiction. When you do the will of God, you benefit in a physical way, you benefit even more in a spiritual way, and even more and more and more. On every level, you benefit.
When the plagues, when the 10 plagues happened, it says somewhere that at some point the Jews were not affected. They were not affected. Now, was that true for
all the
all
plagues?
10, or that
It's
last
not.
one?
It's complicated. No.
I had a different question.
You know what I'm talking about? Did the Jews suffer from the blood or not?
No.
No, how you know?
Well,
Rashi says.
Well, yeah, I mean, the
But
story
this-
is
but-
that what they had was water.
Yeah, but when the text, after by the third plague or the fourth plague, it's written, and the Jews did not suffer from it.
The first three, I thought that they were affected by it.
Exactly. By the fourth one, it's written, the first time it's written that the Jews did not suffer is on page 83, when it comes to the plague of, to the fourth plague of Arov, of the wild animals. It's written on page 83, number 18. Mark, you want to read? 83, number 18, the other Mark, yeah?
83, number 18.
On that
On
day,
that day, I will set apart the land of Goshen, upon which my people dwell, so that there will not be any wild animals there, so that you will know that I am Adonai in the midst of the earth.
continue.
I will set a sign of deliverance between my people and between your people.
Okay, that is the first time it's written that they didn't suffer from the plague. Then when you look,
Well, I have a question about it.
then
It
the
says
fifth
land of
plague,
Goshen.
one second, the fifth plague,
Okay.
it's written in page 86, number 4, when it talks about the plague of, where is it? The devil, the plague of, number 4, read it. Hashem will distinguish,
Oh,
86, number 4.
86, number 4.
Hashem will.
Adonai, no?
Hashem will distinguish between the livestock of the Bnei Yisrael and the livestock of Egypt. None belonging to the Bnei Yisrael will die.
Okay, very good. Now, if you look on the next page, page 87, the top of the page, Hashem,
Hashem did this thing on the next day, and all the livestock in Egypt died. But of the livestock of the Bnei Yisrael, not one died.
continue.
Pharaoh sent scouts, and behold, not a single animal of the Bnei Yisrael died. The heart of Pharaoh remained hard, and he did not send out the people.
Okay, then here you go, and you see again that the Jewish people didn't suffer from these plagues. And so on, all the rest of the plagues.
I'm just confused when it talks about the land of Goshen. All the Jewish people were in one place. No
Yeah,
one's
that's
wor-
where-
That was
where-
the major place.
one's
It was
working
like,
anymore?
That's where we were
no,
getting.
yeah, for 6
curfew.
months nobody was working, yeah. Since Rosh Hashanah, since they started the 10th plague, the beginning of the first plague, from the blood plague, the Jewish people did not suffer, did not worship, had to work. They were not slaves anymore. That slavery stopped right in the beginning.
We're given Goshen by the original Pharaoh with
all-
Joseph.
yeah,
and-
that's yeah. The
that-
Jews
that-
were in Goshen.
that was the
obviously,
Jewish,
obviously, not
symbol.
every Jew was in Goshen. Not every Jew was in
Tel
Goshen.
Aviv.
That was Pepper Pike.
Pepper Pike, okay.
The Jews were not only in Goshen, but the main place of Jews was in Goshen. Okay, I think you can go back to page. Yeah, what's your question? I'm sorry, you had another question.
Yeah, the whole concept of the miracles convincing the Jews. I mean, we then have the golden calf. We then have all the idol worshiping in the northern kingdom. How do we understand almost that mixed message? I mean, apparently the miracles worked for a very short period of time, and then there was a big fall off.
You're right.
It's when you.
So,
when-
what's
when-
your question?
If somebody works really hard for something versus somebody just candidate, what value? Somebody's given a fortune and they waste the money away. They didn't understand how to hold on to it. Somebody earns their
I'll
money.
tell you, in the beginning, you
they're
need to
gonna value
understand where we live and where they live. They lived in a culture of idol worshipping. then to be different was a very, very hard thing to do. Today we cannot even relate to it because nobody is doing it. It's today like eating healthy, like exercising. Then God tells you, don't do exercise. Nobody's allowed to do exercise. It's idol worshipping. Eating healthy, terrible. How many people would survive such a thing? How many people would listen? That was the idol. At that time, everybody was worshipping idols. Then God had to make miracles and prove. And you're right, after Mount Sinai, they went back and they worshipped idols. Because it was so much a part of them. It was so hard to separate. And that's why, according to Maimonides, one of the reasons for the sacrifices is that instead they should sacrifice for idols, they should sacrifice for God, because he couldn't get them out of it, of this sting of the need to sacrifice.
Yeah, but that you're
That's in
talking.
the book of the Perplexed. That's what he gives the reason.
No, I don't understand.
And
But-
even this, for example, in the holiest of holiest, what was in top of the ark?
With cherubs.
Cherubs. That this is the good side, God forbid, not of idols, but God gave it a certain image, if you want.
Yeah, but this.
So it's good in everything. Everything is good.
No, it's not because it's good. I'm saying that the Jewish people and the society was idol worshipping. Actually, Judaism was very successful. Over the years, not only we do not worship idols, we pulled out the whole world from idol worshipping. Not the Christians, not the Muslims, nobody worship idols now anymore. Very rarely you hear of somebody worshipping idols. Even though most of the world believes in God. That's a huge success for the people of Abraham. Then it's not surprising in the beginning, sure, every time God would pull them out and they fell back, pull them out and fell back. Because to change your nature is a very hard thing. It's like somebody who's trying to start a new exercise, a new diet, a new this. You say, I'm going to do it from today, no more chocolate, then 2 days later.
But you're talking about there are two different things though, because I mean, for example, the healthy diet and the exercise is a culture.
That
And
was a culture too.
I understand that, but you took the culture out because all right, so the first generation don't
No,
leave.
no,
The second generation are the rebel. You know, they're raised in
The desert.
in the desert with a
But they
fruit.
li- but
they
they-
didn't see idol
Okay,
worship.
let's say you're right. But they entered the land of Israel.
Yeah.
And there was non-Jewish people living there, and they learned from their behavior. The Torah is full with messages. Do not learn from your neighbors. Do
Right.
not follow the ways of the people, the ancient Canaanite who lived in Israel. Don't be like
but that's
them,
more
right?
that's a more general. That's a pagam within the nature of the person himself. It's not the culture. It's
Yeah, I think-
it's
no,
a weakness of the person for.
Like every weakness of every person from the culture. The Jews in America behave like Americans. Look at the synagogues. The synagogues in the Western culture look like churches.
Yeah.
The synagogues in in the Arab countries look like mosques. Not in a bad way necessarily, but architectural, everything. What the food the Jewish people eat. The Ashkenazic Jews eat European foods. Even the songs, the tunes. You walk into a Sephardic synagogue, it's different tunes, a different world. You cannot even relate, because the tunes they brought from Arab culture. Culture affects everybody. Then the success is that we turned around the cultures of the other nations. But it's not surprised that they're falling back to the culture of the other nations. It was a big challenge. According to many commentators, the Jewish people in Israel, the 10 tribe and what it's called, the kingdom of the 10 tribes, were worshipping idols and putting on film. It was not a contradiction. They were religious Jews in everything else. Just that one problem. You know, in the Haftorah, we read in the Haftorah of Parshas Tisa, we read the story of Elijah and the Mount Carmel, right? Mm-hmm. What he turns to the Jews and tells them, how many times, for how long you jump on both weddings? You go on both sides. He tells them, make a decision. If the Baal, if the Baal, the idol worship, the idol Baal is true, go after him. If God is true, go after him. What was the problem? The problem was that the Jews were going both ways. They gave a donation to the Baal, and they gave a donation to the synagogue. What happened here? Talking about the golden calf. in this parsha, well, we have to go there because we'll never get anywhere anyway, then let's go. There is a very interesting line in this parsha. Page 107. Pharaoh called them by the ninth plague. After the ninth plague, Pharaoh called them, told them, oh, go, not go. Finally, Pharaoh got upset with them. He told Moses, this is the last time you see me. You see me one more time, you'll be dead. Then Moses told them, you're right, I'll never see you again. Next time you'll see me, mister. Then here, God on the spot, in Pharaoh's office, God gave Moses a prophecy. And Hashem told on page 107, number 1, Dr. Lang, you want to read? 107, number 1, chapter 11, number 1.
Hashem said to Moshe, there is one more plague that I will bring upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. After that he will send you away from here. When he sends you away, he will actually drive you out from here completely. Speak please in the ears of the people, and let each man request borrow from his friend, and each woman from her friend articles of silver and articles of gold.
Okay, right in the middle, when he's still by Pharaoh, God has a very important thing to tell him. Speak to the children of Israel, they should collect gold from the neighbors. First of all, you can tell them that when he walks out, what it's saying. Obviously, it was very important. But the most important thing, the strange thing here, speak please. Please, Moshe, maybe you speak to the Jewish people. What's the please here? God doesn't tell Moses, please, can you close please the door? It doesn't work like this. God is ordering Moses what to tell him. Why is the please here? That Rashi says, speak please. Look at the Rashi on the bottom of page 107, number 2, speak please. Go ahead now.
Speak please can only indicate pleading. I ask of you, speak to them about this so that that righteous person, Avraham, may not say they will enslave them. And
The promise of the enslave them and oppress them. Go ahead, next page.
he fulfilled in them, but the promise, and afterwards they will leave with great wealth, he did not fulfill in them.
Right? God told Abraham they will be slaves for 400 years in a foreign land, and then they'll come out with great wealth. That he says, I want you to fulfill it. Abraham shouldn't say, oh, slaving, yeah. Where is the money? That why he had to tell please to Abraham, to Moses? Why? When you say to somebody please means he didn't want to do it. Why please? Why Moses didn't want to do it? What do you think? Why Moses didn't want to do it?
Stealing.
Stealing?
Am
Why
I
stealing?
allowed to say?
No.
He knew what was coming.
Yeah,
What?
He knew what was
golden
coming.
calf.
He knew the golden calf, exactly. He says the Jewish people, if you give them money, they will make a golden calf. He didn't want a golden calf. And Rashi says that in another place, in the story of the golden calf, Moses, when he starts to pray to God to forgive the Jewish people,
Yeah.
he tells them,
Remember. Remember.
Don't say it.
I told you.
page 523. 523, number 31. You want to read? Top of the page.
Moshe returned to Adonai and said, I beseech you, these people have committed a great sin and have made a god of gold.
Very good. They made a god of gold. Now we'll look at the Rashi number 31, the same page, the Rashi number 31, a god of gold.
You, God, are the one who caused this to happen to them, for you gave them abundance of gold and anything they desired. How could they not sin?
Moses used it as a defending of the Jewish people. He said to God, it's your fault. You gave them gold. Surprise, surprise, they made a golden gift. I didn't want to. That's why God was pleading with Moses. Moses said, no, they don't need money. Let them be schleppers. They don't need money. Because they made a golden calf. And the Medrash puts it, the Jews are an interesting nation. You ask them donations for the golden calf, they give. Ask him to build a sanctuary, a temple, they give. It's interesting to note Who gave the money for the golden calf? Who gave the gold?
Men.
The men. Who gave the money for the Mishkan, for the
The
sanctuary?
women.
The women. Here you go. The men give money to the wrong places. The women give the money to the right places. Today it's to the mall. But
Now-
obviously it's the right place. But what I mean to say that the question really is, why God insisted that the Jewish people should have money? Why God said that to Abraham they will come out with great wealth? He already promised them in the beginning. Moses has a point. He says if they have money, you can do wrong things. If you don't have money, you cannot do wrong things.
To make them feel important, that they have something.
Close.
Self-esteem, when they have money, that they
The
feel-
Jews, you're right, but I believe Jewish people have self-esteem even when they don't have money.
Well,
but you're right.
We had it
But there
certain
must be a bigger purpose, a larger, a more higher level of accomplishment that we want to accomplish with the money.
people with money
People with-
influence.
Oh,
More.
the Jewish people need to influence the world. God took us out from Egypt. We should be a light unto the nation, right? As the prophet says. If you don't have money, can you be a light unto the nation? No?
That's
Who
the
people
same thing.
listen to?
That's why you have self-esteem, because you have money.
Who people listen? If Mark Zuckerberg is to come to town, right? Everybody will want to listen to him. If his business, if Facebook goes into it, anybody will come to see him. They will sell the tickets for free. They'll give you back the ticket. A week ago, he was the biggest chacham on earth. A week later, is nothing, right? What I mean to say is, it's all we see. The nature of people is that they listen to the successful people. That's why God wanted the Jewish people, even running the risk that they might do with the money the wrong things. Then here God was begging Moses to tell the Jewish people to get money, get them as much money out from Egypt as possible.
That's actually a famous line from Fiddler on the Roof. When you're rich, they think you really know.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
thank you. When the rich, it's very true. I mean, the joke goes about a guy who was very rich, was on every committee and every board, and suddenly lost his money, and nobody called them for any committee. He says, "I lost the money. I didn't lose my brains. Why nobody is coming to ask me for advice?" Obviously, your advice is not worth much when there's not a check behind it. Then the same thing. That's what we learn here. God wanted very much. I don't know how we got to the whole story, but we were talking about worshiping idols. It was the Jewish people were worshiping idols was a part of the culture, and that's why it was such a hard thing to get rid of.
Wasn't it something also that that
And
choice?
the moment the culture is over, it's not even. Now you read about people worshiping idols, you think they're crazy. There's a famous story about a rabbi, I think Ravasi, I don't remember which rabbi in the Talmud was speaking about. I think it was Jeroboam ben Nevat, and he said tomorrow, I think it was him, and he said tomorrow we'll speak about them in school, in class. He said tomorrow we'll speak about Jeroboam. At night he had a dream that Jeroboam came to him in his dream and told him, speak about I'm your friend. He's speaking about Jeroboam, about our friend Jeroboam. That's what he says. He said, I'm your friend. And he showed them that what he was teaching, he didn't know what he was teaching. He proved them wrong. He says, if you're such a great scholar, why are you worshipping idols? He says, if you would be in my times, you would be even worse. It's all about the culture. It's not about it was a ideological thing. They came to the conclusion that they have to worshipping idols. Most of the people do the wrong things because that everybody's doing, because it's a culture, because everybody's doing. In America, thank God there is a culture going to church on Sunday. That's why people go to shul on Shabbos. That's the truth. In South Africa, Saturday used to be a day of work, that Friday night people go to shul. It's all about a culture. The Jews in America are more religious because the non-Jews are more religious. In Europe, the non-Jews are not so religious. That's why the Jews are not so religious. Why twice a year Jewish people go in America, secular Jews go twice a year to the synagogue, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Why twice a year? You know why?
Christmas and Easter.
Christmas and Easter. Because they go twice a year. In Israel, Jews go to synagogue only on Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is a day to go on the beach. Because there is nowhere to learn from somebody else to do it. What I mean to say is, There is a saying in Yiddish, "As if it's a crystal tzach, as a Yiddish tzach." The way it's going by the Christians, that's the way it goes by the Jews. And not necessarily in a bad way, in a good way. What I mean to say is, culture is everything. You do things because everybody else is doing. And everybody, Russian Jews come to America, they want to make a bar mitzvah. Even they are very secular. Why? Because they see all the American Jews are making a bar mitzvah. Well, you don't have a bar mitzvah, you have to have a bar mitzvah. Suddenly they come to me, they want a bar mitzvah, they don't even know what it is, how to eat it, but you have to do a bar mitzvah because, they are not interested in anything else, but because everybody, all the friends the kids come from school, all my friends are having a bar mitzvah, I need a bar mitzvah, I need a bat mitzvah. That's all about culture. The same thing, idol worshipping in the time of the Bible was not an ideological, deep decision that they came to the conclusion that ich weiß was is God. It was everybody doing it.
Well, their gods were in nature. I mean, isn't that a lot of what this is about with the plagues? Demonstrating God shows
destroying
the world,
everything.
God shows the world that He controls.
That there's somebody is above nature. Yes, it's a good point. They believed in the water. That's why God struck the first thing, the water. Everything. You're right. Everything was to prove that there is no security. Nothing is on its own. It's all there is somebody above that runs the whole show.
But what you point out with the golden calf and with the northern kingdom of Israel is that surprisingly, with all the plagues, it's a process.
It's a long process. You're right. Everything in life is a process. That's why I tell people who want to become religious not to go fast, because if it's fast, it's not real. It's like the Jews who saw God at Mount Sinai. 40 days later, they worshipped idols. It's a process. It's an internal process. That's why it took them. They end up to be 4 years in the desert, because it's a process. It's an internalizing. It's a situation. You have to little by little come to it, and if you do it too fast, you lose it. It's not real. That's the point.
I was going to say something about
Yeah.
the two things, the wealth and then also the gold from the golden calf.
Mm-hmm.
Golden calf was in the future, and the reason for the wealth taken out was for what you said, was right now.
Forever.
Right now, so if you have two choices, something now is better than something that might happen in the future, let's say.
You're right. And in general, God always gives choices to people. God gives you the money, and you have to make the choices between good and bad. But if you don't have money, you cannot even make choices. There is no free choice there. The free choice is only when you have the money. If you don't have the money, there is no free choice. You cannot do bad with the money, you cannot do good with the money, you cannot do anything. Better that people should do bad, but they also do good. You need to understand that there is another point here. We didn't come to the world for not doing bad. For this, you didn't have to be born. If you wouldn't be born, you wouldn't do bad. We came to the world to do good. There is sur mera and asay tov. Remove yourself from evil and do good, right? We are not here for just not doing bad. We are here to do good. We better run the risk of doing a few bad things, but doing many good things than not doing anything. From a person who doesn't do anything, we cannot benefit. From a person who is doing bad things and good things, we can benefit something, right? There was once a fundraiser in New York, he used to say, from a poor good man, I will get nothing. From a very stingy rich man, I might get something. You understand? From somebody who has, you can come, you can do something. The poor man is a very nice guy, but you cannot get out, he has nothing. Then God gave us, you're right, we'll do bad, we might make mistakes, that's life. But you'll do good. If you have no money, you will not do bad, you do nothing. You're basically retired. You cannot do anything. You didn't come to the world to do nothing. We came to the world to accomplish, to make things. We are on page 97, number 3. I'm sorry.
Here, can you read?
Yes. All right, 97, number 3.
Yes.
Moshe and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they said to him, "This is what Hashem, God of the Hebrews, has said. How long will you refuse to be humbled before me? Send my people out that they may worship me."
Send my people out and they will worship me. I want to make a point here. We all know, let my people go, right? This is right here. Let my people, that's the under translation, let my people go. But what's the next word? And worship me. What does this mean? God took us out from Egypt for a purpose, to worship Him. Not just He want to make us free people. Oh, I feel bad for them, they're suffering, we'll take them out from Egypt. You know, when in America was the slogan about the Russian Jews, let my people go, that the Rebbe pointed out, they forgot the next word, and they should worship me. If we take out Russian Jews and they assimilate all in other countries, that we miss the point. Who need it? Then better maybe they should be in Russia and stay Jewish. The whole idea is to go out and worship God. To serve me and worship me. Vayavduni really means that to serve me, not to worship me, to serve me. To serve God. The word service, we go to services. It's a strange word. You know, when I came to America, service. There is a prayer, there is davening. What's service? What do you mean? I know self-service, full service. What is service? Then I realized it comes from the word v'yavduni. It comes from the word from avodah in the holy temple. Is to do service. That you serve God. By prayer, you serve God. It's a way to serve God. Then the whole shalach et ami is v'yavduni, to serve me. Used to be in the Zionist movement 120 years ago, had a slogan, Bet Yaakov lechu v'nilcha, the house of Jacob, let's go. Kind of let's go to Israel. They forgot the next two words, Be'or Hashem, in the light of God. Yeah, they are going, but going where? Going what? There's for some reason many times we forget the punchline. We cut the statement in half and we take only the part that we like and we leave God out of the picture. And that's what we're missing. Shalach et ami, let my people go and they should serve me. Go ahead, for if you refuse to go,
For if you refuse to send my people out, I will bring locusts within your borders tomorrow. They will cover the visible surface of the land so that one will be unable to see the land. They will eat all that was spared, that remained for you from the hail, and they will eat every tree that grows for you in the field. They will fill your houses and the houses of all your servants and the houses of all the Egyptians. It will be something that was never seen by your fathers or your fathers' fathers since the day they were on the earth until this day.
wow, go ahead.
He, Moshe, then turned and went out from Pharaoh.
Okay, let's see, you want to continue?
Oh, sure. Pharaoh's servants said to him, how long will this man be a menace to us? Send these men out and let them worship Hashem, their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is being destroyed?
They already, the Egyptian 77 told, get enough already, let them go. Go ahead,
Moshe
Moshe.
and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, go worship Hashem, your God. Exactly who will be going?
Now here I want you to pay attention. That's a very important question. Who is going? Is serving Hashem? Who is going? Who is serving Hashem? Who should serve Hashem? Look what the Jewish view is, what the Egyptian view is. Moshe said, number 9.
Moshe, look at my eyes here. Yeah, Moshe said, with our young and with our old we will go, with our sons, with our daughters, with our sheep and with our cattle we will go. For it is festival to Hashem for all of us.
Moshe said, what do you mean who is going? Everybody is going. Young and old, boys and girls, everybody will serve God. Judaism is a religion for all. What was Pharaoh saying, as you're going to read in a minute? Continue.
He, Pharaoh, said to them, so be it. May Hashem be with you, just as I will send you and your little ones. Beware, for evil confronts you.
Continue.
This is not right. Only the adult men should go and worship Hashem, for this is what you desire. He had them expelled from Pharaoh's presence.
Okay. Pharaoh said, who should go serve God? Men! Adult men should serve God. Women, children, what is this? The culture at that time was that a religion, anything meaningful, is the men should go. Judaism was the first one to break it. Where we see it more than everything. At Mount Sinai. What was Mount Sinai? God gave the Ten Commandments. He should tell Moses, Moses, you come. Look in the movie. Who is the Ten Commandments in the Ten Commandment movie? Who gets the Ten Commandments? You ever saw the movie, Mister?
Charlton Heston.
Only Moses, right? The rest of the Jews are busy worshipping idols. Nobody's there. That's a part of the culture, how they look at things. The world said, the normal thing would be God should tell Moses, Moses, you come, and Aaron, and the 70 elders, and you listen, and you give over to the rest of the crowd. What, I need a balagan, so many people there. And the babies will come and they cry in the middle of the Ten Commandments. Who has time for this? Shh! In the services, nobody's allowed to bother, right? No children allowed in most of the synagogues. Judaism, what God did? God said the Ten Commandments to everybody. Men, women, children, babies, everybody was there. Maidservants, slaves, everyone was there. Judaism, the concept that education for all, that today in America it's such a normal thing, into modern society, everybody has to go to school. How long is it? When was the law in America that every child has to go to school, has to have an education? 1920, when they made this law?
Last 100 years, sometime.
Yeah, I know, but it's even not so far. What I mean to say is it's a new thing. In the Torah, Veshinantam levanecha. Every parent has to teach his children Torah, no matter what it is. Not only the scholars, not only the Levites, not only everyone has to be a part of it. That's a main difference. That's what Judaism brought to society. That religion, that education, that God is for everyone, and that's where the fight was what it was with Pharaoh. Pharaoh, in general, all the dictators used to keep their people uneducated. They don't know how to read. Why? Because then they can control them. It was only a very elite, small society knew how to read, were educated. The rest of them were not. Judaism is the first, at Mount Sinai, God introduced a new concept. Everybody has to be educated. Everybody has to learn Torah. Boys and girls, everybody has to be at Mount Sinai. And that's all different in Judaism and other religions. I mean, other cultures at that time. Pharaoh said the men should go. Moses says everybody serves God. No such thing as men's only. Okay, we'll continue. And he chased them out.
Hashem said to Moshe, stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, to bring the locusts, and they will emerge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, I want to
What
bring
I
up
missed.
your attention another time. On page 99. Beware, for evil confronts you. What does this mean? The last line on page 99 in the text.
That was
If
with
you do
Pharaoh.
things, if you're going to do things against my will, then there'll be consequences.
That's the
Is this Pharaoh saying it?
Pharaoh
Yes.
saying it.
This is with the sign and the zodiac?
Oh, the Rashi says something very interesting on page 100. Page 100, the first Rashi, in top of the first Rashi, an Agadic explanation.
Session that I heard states there is a star by the name of evil. Pharaoh said to them, I see by my astrological calculations that the star is rising towards you in the
In the wilderness.
and it will be a sign of blood and killing.
Okay, Pharaoh was an astrologist. He tells the Jews, I see blood on you in the desert. Don't go. Not a good idea. I'm telling you for your own good. Don't go. And you know what? He was right. What happened? Continue the Rashi. When eventually
the Israelites sinned by worshiping the calf and God wished to kill them, Moshe said in his prayer, why should the Egyptians speak, saying, he took them out with the star evil? For this is meant by what he said, beware, for evil confronts you.
Moses used this argument, and before we said that Moses used the argument of the gold, he blamed God for the gold. Moses used a few arguments. One of the most in text, he says, why what are the Egyptians going to say? That you took us out from Egypt to kill us in the desert? What he meant even more, as Rashi says, as the commentary says, the Talmud and everyone, he says, Pharaoh warned us not to go. Beware, there is evil against you. Now Pharaoh said, aha, I told you so. Don't go. That was the best argument for Moses, for saving the Jews. God changed his mind. Then what happened? God turned the bad blood into good blood. What does this mean? Let's continue to read, then we'll talk about it. Immediately God reconsidered the evil. And turned... No, you continue the Rashi.
Okay. Immediately God reconsidered the evil and turned the blood to blood of circumcision for Yehoshua.
Okay, go ahead, continue. Okay, read it.
This is meant by what it is said. Joshua said, today I have removed the shame of Egypt from you, for they have been saying to you, we see blood upon you in the wilderness.
One day, the Jews had blood in the desert. Which blood?
Circumcision.
Before they left in the desert, for some reason, whatever the explanation is, Most of the Jews did not circumcise in the desert. Most of the Jews did not circumcise in Egypt too. But in Egypt, the explanation that the Rebbe gives is because they were uneducated, they didn't know, they were assimilated basically. They were slaves, they know from nothing, who know about bris, who know about anything. There was no cheder, there was no schools, there was no rabbis, there was no nothing. That they didn't know from anything, that's why they didn't circumcise. But in the desert, for whatever reason, maybe because in the desert was a time of learning Torah, not time of mitzvahs, it's a whole other discussion. But in the desert they also didn't circumcise, beside the tribe of the Levites. Then before they entered the land of Israel, Joshua told them everybody has to circumcise. It was in one day, thousands of people having a bris. Oh, it was a lot of blood. Then this was the blood that Pharaoh saw on the stars. In astrology, that blood on the Jews in the desert. The Jews turned the bad blood into good blood. What do we learn from it? We learn from it that even when there is something, a destiny for a person, astrology says this person, this and this will happen to him. The Jew, the person has the power to turn around his destiny. There is another example. Why were the Jewish people, why Pharaoh ordered to throw the babies into the river? Kill them! Why to throw them into the river?
The astrologist.
What do you think?
They saw.
He knew there'd be a leader from the
Jews, yeah.
males.
And
So he wanted to kill them all.
Kill them!
So he
Kill them!
wouldn't have
Why
to
in the
leave.
river? Why the river?
Because he saw.
Why this method? That's the question.
Because he saw that the person who was going to
That
Moshe.
Rashi says something very interesting. Yeah,
the
what they
rock.
say now, Rashi says in the beginning, right in the beginning, on the line that he said, throw him into the river. On page 9, actually, page 10, number 22, page 10 at the top, that Rashi says, the Torah says, Pharaoh commanded all his people, every boy who is born must be thrown into the river, right? Mm-hmm. Then Rashi says, Rashi number 22. Want to read? Go ahead.
All his people. Also upon them the Egyptians did he issue the decree. On the day that Moshe was born, his astrologers told him, today their Savior was born, but we do not know whether he is from the Egyptians or the Jews. But we foresee that he is destined to be smitten through water. Mm-hmm. Therefore on that day Pharaoh issued a decree also regarding the Egyptians, as is said, every son that will be born, and it does not say
That
will be born to the Hebrews. The astrologers, however, did not know that Moshe was destined to be smitten by the waters of
Meriva, the rock, right? That means to say the astrologers see something, but they don't see everything. They know, they guess. They're on the target, but not on the right target. That's why Jewish people never go to astrologers and never ask fortune tellers, because we have the power to change our destiny. We are not afraid of what astrologers said. We don't care what they said. There is plenty of stories in the Talmud with Rabbi Akiva and others that they said his daughter will die there. Many stories. The point is that the Jewish people, we can change their destiny. Here is a perfect example with the blood that Pharaoh saw on the Jewish people. And Moses actually used it as an argument for God twice. Number one, by the golden calf. Number two, again he used the same argument at the spies. He told God, what are the Egyptians going to say? What are they going to say? Now there is a story about a Jew who invited the poets of the town, the sheriff kind of thing, invited the landowner, invited himself in Poland to the Jews' house for the Seder. He heard it's a good meal and it's a good party. He couldn't say no. He comes. First year they finish the Seder. He enjoys the whole Seder. He says, next year in Jerusalem. Told him, Moshka, are you living? He said, yeah, Hashem will take us to Israel and this. It's going to be amazing. He says, before you leave, tell me in advance. Give me notice before you leave. I don't want to be stuck with. I need another person, a manager to run the show. says, no problem, I'll let you know. And also, I want to also participate in your journey. I'll give you some money before you go to Jerusalem. You did a good job here. Okay? Next year, here passed. He invites himself into the next Seder. Comes to the end of the Seder. Moshe is announcing again, next year in Jerusalem. The poet is asking him, hey, Moshe, you said last year you're going to Jerusalem. He says, last year it didn't work out, but this year we are really going. Tells him again, give me early notice. Next year comes. It's getting to the end of the Seder, and Moshe is thinking to himself, now what? He turns to God, he says, God, we will forgive you, but Hashem did to the Goyim. What an embarrassment in front of the non-Jews. What am I going to tell the poets about it every year next year in Jerusalem? That was the argument that Moses was using twice. In the golden calf and in the story in the spies. He says, forget about the Jews will forgive you, whatever will happen, what the world is going to say. And that's one of the best arguments.
Thank you.